Joe took a deep breath as he stood in front of the small brick building with a brightly lit sign that read Magic English Café. Today was his first day on the job, and he wasn't sure what to expect. Inside, the cafe was cozy, with wooden tables and chairs scattered around, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filling the air. The walls were lined with shelves full of books in English. "This place is special," Mr. Brown said, patting Joe on the shoulder. "Here, every customer teaches us something new." His English wasn't great. He could understand basic words, but speaking was another story. Mr. Brown seemed to sense this. "Don't worry," he said with a wink. "You'll learn as you go. That's the magic of this place." She smiled warmly as she approached the counter. "Good morning." He recognized the word coffee, but wasn't sure what else she had said. His heart pounded as he turned to Mr. Brown for help. "Relax," Mr. Brown whispered. "She said she'd like a coffee. Go ahead and repeat after me. I'd like a coffee, please." Joe hesitated, then tried. "I'd like a coffee, please," he said, his accent thick but understandable. The woman beamed. "Perfect," she said. "Simple, right?" As well, earning a chuckle from her. The doorbell jingled again, signaling the arrival of a new customer. "Let's see what we can learn from this one," he said. He looked confident and a little rushed as he approached the counter. "Good morning. I'd like a latte and a muffin, please," the man said, his words flowing quickly. He understood latte, but the other word muffin sounded unfamiliar. The man smiled and nodded. "Yes, a latte," the man said, pointing to a blueberry muffin behind the glass. He quickly prepared the latte, pouring the steamed milk carefully into the espresso while Mr. Brown watched from the corner with a proud grin. Then he placed the muffin on a small plate and handed both items to the man. The man replied before taking a seat by the window. "And now you know two important words, latte and muffin." "Exactly. And remember, if you're ever unsure, just point or ask them to repeat. You can say, 'Can you repeat that?' Or even, 'What does that mean?' Most people are happy to help." Just as Joe began to relax, the doorbell jingled again. This time, it was a young woman in a brightly colored scarf. She walked up to the counter with a friendly smile. "Hi, can I have a cappuccino and a croissant, please?" she asked. He knew cappuccino. It was similar to the word in Portuguese, but croissant threw him off. He hesitated, then remembered Mr. Brown's advice. Can you repeat that?" Joe asked, his voice steady but unsure. The woman repeated her order slowly, pointing to the croissants in the display case. "Oh, croissant. Okay." He prepared her cappuccino with extra care, grateful for the practice. When he placed the drink and pastry on the counter, the woman smiled warmly. "Thank you so much," she said. "You're learning fast," he said, "and you're not afraid to ask for help. That's the key." Mr. Brown chuckled. "Good, because the more you enjoy it, the faster you'll learn. And trust me, the best is yet to come." The morning passed quickly. With each interaction, he picked up new words and phrases, slowly building his confidence. As the clock struck noon, Mr. Brown handed Joe a small notepad. "Here," he said, "write down the new words you've learned so far." Joe took the notepad and scribbled, "Latte, muffin, cappuccino, croissant, can. You repeat that." He looked at the list and smiled. "Not bad for my first day," he said. Mr. Brown laughed. "Not bad at all, but don't get too comfortable yet. We've got some more interesting customers coming in this afternoon." "You'll see," Mr. Brown replied with a mysterious grin. Customers came and went, and he felt more confident with every order. Then, just as things seemed to settle, the doorbell jingled again. A tall man in a bright Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses entered, Looking around curiously, he walked up to the counter with an easy smile. "Hi there. Can I have a sandwich and orange juice, please?" Joe froze for a moment. He understood sandwich, but wasn't so sure about the second part. The man's words had blended together too quickly. He took a deep breath and tried to focus. Sandwich," he exclaimed, happy to piece the order together. "Exactly," the man said with a grin as he returned with the sandwich. He realized he'd forgotten the juice. In his nervousness, he remembered the word orange and mistakenly thought of the small orange box tucked away in the storage area. He darted into the back room and returned moments later, triumphantly holding a pair of bright orange shoes. The man at the table blinked in surprise, then burst into laughter. "Shoes? I asked for juice, not shoes." "Oh no. Shoes, juice, they sound the same?" he stammered, laughing nervously along with the customer. "Mr. Brown." He quickly delivered the correct drink to the man, who gave him a thumbs up. "You're doing great, buddy. Don't worry about it. Say them slowly. Juice, shoes. Hear the difference?" he asked. "Ah, I see. The ending sounds are different." "Exactly," Mr. Brown said. "And remember, if you're not sure, always ask the customer to repeat. They don't mind." Feeling a mix of embarrassment and determination, deciding to use what he'd learned, he smiled and said, "Can you repeat that, please?" The teenager repeated his order, this time pointing to the menu above the counter. "Turkey sandwich and soda." Joe nodded slowly. "Ah, soda. Okay." He glanced at Mr. Brown for confirmation, who nodded approvingly. "Soda is like Coca-Cola?" he guessed. "Exactly," Mr. Brown said. "It's what we call fizzy drinks here in English. Some people also say pop, depending on where they're from, but soda is more common." Joe scribbled another word into his notebook. Soda. He looked at his list with pride. His first day had been full of challenges, but he was learning more than he'd ever expected. "And that's the magic of learning," Mr. Brown said. "Mistakes are just opportunities to get better. Every mistake is a lesson." "That's the spirit," Mr. Brown said, raising his cup in a toast. "Here's to many more lessons and even more laughs." The afternoon sun streamed through the windows of the cafe, casting a warm glow on the tables. He was wiping the counter when the doorbell jingled again. This time, two familiar faces stepped inside. "Joe!" a voice called out enthusiastically. They were all smiles as they walked up to the counter. "We came to see how you're doing on your first day," Mariana said. His friends didn't speak much English, and he wasn't sure how they would place their orders. "Let's do this in English. I'll help you." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "In English? Okay. Repeat after me. I'd like a coffee, please." Lucas laughed nervously but gave it a try. "I'd like a coffee, please." "Perfect," Joe said, giving him a thumbs up. "And you, Mariana?" Mariana studied the menu, then pointed to the chocolate cake in the display case. I'd like a cake?" She tried. "Close." Mariana nodded and repeated, "I'd like a chocolate cake, please." "Great." He handed Lucas a steaming cup of coffee and placed a slice of cake in front of Mariana. "Here you go." Mariana took a bite of the cake and her eyes widened. "Wow, this is amazing," she said, forgetting her English momentarily. Lucas sipped his coffee and nodded in agreement. "Every customer teaches me something new. And now I'm teaching you." He pointed to different items on the menu and said their names in English, asking Lucas and Mariana to repeat after him. The three of them laughed as Lucas struggled with the word croissant, his pronunciation making it sound more like crescent. "The key is to practice, and don't be afraid to ask for help, before leaving," Lucas said, holding up his phone. "Well, they picked the right place," Mr. Brown said. Turning to Lucas and Mariana, he added, and remember, practice a little every day. You'll be surprised how fast you learn. Lucas and Mariana nodded enthusiastically. Thanks, Mr. Brown, they said in unison, their accents making him chuckle. He opened his notepad and added more words to his growing list. Chocolate cake, coffee, croissant. He looked at the list and smiled. His journey with English was just beginning, but he was starting to see the magic in it. The cafe buzzed with a quiet hum as the afternoon wore on. Joe was cleaning the espresso machine when the doorbell jingled again. A woman walked in, her high heels clicking softly on the floor. She was a regular, Joe realized, because she and Mr. Brown exchanged a friendly wave. "Hello, Mr. Brown." "Hi there," she said, glancing at Joe. Her voice was warm, but she spoke quickly. "Can I have a latte with soy milk and a dash of cinnamon?" Joe's stomach tightened. He knew latte, that word had become familiar, but soy milk and cinnamon were a mystery. He hesitated, looking toward Mr. Brown for help, but the older man simply smiled and gestured for Joe to give it a try. Latte. Joe began, repeating the word he recognized. He furrowed his brow as he tried to figure out the rest. Soy? The woman, noticing his struggle, nodded encouragingly. "Soy milk," she said slowly, pointing to a carton on the counter. "It's this one." Joe's eyes lit up. "Ah, soy milk," he repeated. Then, pointing to a small jar labeled cinnamon, he asked, "And this?" "Cinnamon," she said, her tone patient. "It's a spice. Smells sweet." Joe opened the jar and sniffed, grinning as the warm, earthy scent hit his nose. "Cinnamon," he exclaimed. "Okay, latte with soy milk and cinnamon, coming right up," underscore as he prepared the drink. Joe practiced the new words under his breath. Soy milk, cinnamon. He even wrote them down in his notepad while the espresso brewed. By the time he handed the latte to the woman, he felt more confident. "Here you go," Joe said, proud of himself for remembering the phrase. "Thank you," she replied, taking a sip. Her eyes widened with delight. "Perfect. You got it just right." Joe's chest swelled with pride. "You're welcome," he said, his accent still thick but clear. As the woman left, Mr. Brown walked over, clapping Joe on the back. "Great job. You handled that like a pro," he said. Joe grinned. "I'm learning. But what is soy milk?" Mr. Brown explained. "It's milk made from soybeans. Some people prefer it because they're allergic to regular milk, or they just like the taste. And cinnamon is a spice we use in drinks and desserts to make them sweeter or more flavorful." Joe scribbled notes in his notepad, adding examples for context. Soy milk equals lit de soja, cinnamon equals canela, underscore. Just as Joe was feeling confident again, a new customer entered, a young man wearing a tattered backpack and holding a sketch pad. He looked around curiously before stepping up to the counter. "Hi," he said. "Do you have oat milk?" "I'd like a cappuccino with oat milk, please." Joe's confidence wavered. Oat milk? This was new. He decided to try the tactic Mr. Brown had taught him earlier. What does oat milk mean?" he asked, hoping the customer wouldn't mind. The man smiled. "It's milk made from oats, like soy milk, but different." Joe nodded slowly. "Ah, okay. Cappuccino with oat milk. Got it." As he prepared the drink, Mr. Brown whispered, "Good job asking for clarification. That's how you learn." Joe added oat milk to his list, feeling his vocabulary expand with every interaction. Later that evening, just as the cafe was about to close, The doorbell jingled one last time. A tall man with a booming voice walked in. "Evening. Can I have a large mocha with extra whipped cream?" he asked. Joe froze. He'd never heard the word mocha before. He turned to Mr. Brown, who whispered, "Mocha is like a mix of coffee and chocolate. You'll love making it." Taking a deep breath, Joe said, "Large mocha with, what was that?" "Extra whipped cream," the man repeated, grinning. Joe laughed nervously. He knew whipped cream would be another word to add to his list. He prepared the drink carefully, following Mr. Brown's guidance, and handed it over with a proud smile. "Here you go," Joe said. The man took a sip and gave Joe a thumbs up. "Perfect. Thanks, kid." As the cafe finally closed for the night, Joe sat at a table with his notepad, reviewing the new words he'd learned. Soy milk, cinnamon, oat milk, whipped cream. Not bad for one day, he muttered, smiling. Mr. Brown walked over and placed a steaming cup of tea in front of him. "You did great today, Joe. Every new word is a step closer to fluency." Joe nodded. "And every customer is like a teacher," Mr. Brown chuckled. "Exactly. Now get some rest. Tomorrow will bring more words and more surprises." As Joe sipped his tea, he felt a sense of accomplishment. His journey with English was just beginning, but he knew he was on the right path. The cafe was finally quiet, the last customer gone, and the tables wiped clean. Joe leaned against the counter, looking out at the now empty room. The day had been long, but it was also one of the most rewarding days of his life. "You survived your first day, Mr. Brown said, walking over with a steaming cup of chamomile tea. "How are you feeling?" Joe took the cup and smiled. "Tired but proud," he admitted. "I learned so much today. And not just about coffee." Mr. Brown chuckled and pulled out a chair. "That's the magic of this place. Every order is an opportunity. Every mistake is a lesson." Joe nodded, thinking back to the day's challenges. "I'll never forget the difference between juice and shoes, that's for sure," he said with a laugh. "That was a memorable one," Mr. Brown agreed, smiling warmly. "But look how far you've come in just one day. You went from freezing at the word coffee to confidently serving mochas and understanding soy milk and cinnamon." Joe sipped his tea and opened his notepad. The list of words he had written throughout the day stared back at him. Coffee, latte, muffin, cappuccino, croissant, orange juice, shoes, chocolate, cake, soy, milk, cinnamon, oat milk, cream. It was more than just a list of words. It was proof of his progress. "I never thought I'd be able to learn so much in one day," Joe said. "But I guess when you're thrown into it, you have no choice but to figure it out." Mr. Brown smiled knowingly. "That's exactly how it works. Immersion is the best teacher, and you're doing great. But remember, Joe, it's not about learning everything at once. It's about small, consistent steps. One word, one phrase, one interaction at a time." Joe nodded, letting the words sink in. "One step at a time," he repeated. "I can do that." The two sat in comfortable silence for a moment, sipping their tea. Then Mr. Brown spoke again. "Tomorrow will bring new challenges, Joe. More customers, more words, more chances to grow. Are you ready?" Joe grinned. "I think I am. Bring it on." Mr. Brown laughed and clinked his teacup against Joe's. "That's the spirit." As Joe locked up the cafe and stepped out into the cool evening air, he felt a surge of excitement for the days to come. His English journey had begun, and while it wouldn't always be easy, he knew it would be worth it. With his notepad tucked safely in his pocket and a growing confidence in his heart, Joe walked home, ready to face whatever the next day would bring.